Good evening, Gary Smith, Andrew Danlishan. Thank you for joining us here after this 3-0 victory at home to Cefn Druids. So a clean sheet, 3 goals, some very good individual performances and a great team display today. You must be delighted.
I am delighted. Obviously, missing the game on Tuesday gutted me, but seeing today the performance and the shape of the team and sort of the development of them and the information they're taking on, I'm absolutely buzzing as a coach. I'm actually getting to speak less on the side because the lads are taking the information on and implementing it on the pitch. Three good goals. There could have been more goals. We looked at a constant threat in the team creating chances. So I was delighted for that. And as normal, the clean sheet inspires me and sort of gives me belief. Because like I said before, I think clean sheets win titles. So having that organisation, not just winning games, but winning games ruthlessly, if you like, I think is important. There were some great performances. I could mention some performances, but today what was refreshing is the appetite and hunger the lads to want to start games, to want to win, to want to say to me and Gaz, I want to start the first game of the season. So they drove it on the pitch today. So I'm delighted for them, and I think everyone performed really well today, and that's why I can't really mention any one player. They're all buying into their roles and responsibilities and instructions as an individual, and that performance levels are high, so I'm really happy.
Do you want to add anything to that, Gary?
I think he's covered it really. I mean, you can't ask for more. Pre-season, since we started pre-season, I think the boys have done really well, and now you're starting to see that shape and that togetherness starting to come together. The dressing room is buzzing and people are fighting for a place in the starting lineup. So to go out and perform the way they've done today obviously is another headache for us in terms of who's going to start, but it's always a good one to have, and we've just told them in there at the end that we want to see that we want that to continue. So brilliant performance today.
Well, you said to myself after Tuesday's game, when we interviewed yourself and Tom Bailey, that you were very close to knowing the squad, basically, perhaps only just a couple of positions. And of course I'm going to ask you, are you any closer? Do you know those two positions now after today?
We are still in a similar position. We've knocked our heads together, 3 of us, me, Andy and Tom, and we're going to make a final decision very shortly as to which ones we can afford to keep and the ones that we can't. Obviously we'd love to keep everybody, but that's not possible. But I think we'll go through it and pick the best for the football club and for the squad going forward. So still a headache, but we're all singing off the same sheet. We all recognise the same sort of players that we want to have in the squad, so that's the good thing. So we definitely not that far away.
Good. Okay, it must be really frustrating not having the likes of Greg Casaboni, Aaron Ford available, 2 of the higher profile signings that we made quite early on in pre-season, but they've not been available through injury. Are they going to be able to feature more now in the last 2 pre-season games?
Just to restart, I don't think it's frustrating. I think it's brilliant because it's the case of they're high profile players, like you said, and I know the quality of both of them players, but I'm excited that, well, if they're high profile players and they're the players to come back into the team, then what have we got out there on the pitch is doing amazingly well at the moment. So it's inspired me and made me even more excited about the squad than I was before, because before it might have been and we want them players to get fit, but that Kazza and Fordy start and we don't get to see some of the other players what they can do. Seeing what they can do now, it's like, well, wait a minute here, our strength in depth of the squad is deeper even than that.
Yeah, I mean, it is frustrating because really, obviously, you want to see your players, your high-profile players, you want to see them on the park. So it's frustrating that they are injured, but it's not frustrating, as Andy said, because the people that are in and around the squad are actually doing a fantastic job. So if we've got that to come back into the squad, then I think that's fantastic for us going forward into the season. It's not going to make it any easier for them either, because obviously if people are playing well, people keep their shirts, so everybody's fighting now for a spot, and it's going to be the same for Ford and the same for Casaboni when they are fit. They're going to have to fight for a shirt just like everybody else.
Them 2 are winners as well, though, so like no fear in them 2. We know what they can do, and they're both very good players, but they're winners in here and in here, which is important.
And back to the final part of that previous question, really, are they going to feature more in the final two pre-season games?
Well, Ford's having his cast removed
Friday.
this coming Friday, so that will put him back into training. Not sure whether he's going to be able to play straight away with the hand. We'll have to wait and see. Casaboni, still maybe a little bit more time. He's going to need a bit longer to get this tendonitis sorted. But once that's sorted, then he'll be back. So hopefully, but we can't promise that you'll see either of them before the start of the season.
You might see him running though on the pitch as soon as they're back. As soon as the cast is off, I'll get 40 here and running on the pitch.
Yeah,
so
they'll definitely be doing some fitness work.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. I'll bring you 5 days a week if 40 once. Or Caso.
Fair enough. In the pre-match chat that you did in the sponsor suite, Gary, I heard that you'd mentioned a player was to be signed that's not actually featured yet. Is that correct? Are you looking to bring somebody else in?
We're looking at one. We've got one in the pipeline. We put something in place. We're just waiting for a response to see how that will go down. And if it works out, then we'll be bringing that one extra player in.
Are you prepared to give any clues on what kind of position and who it may be?
I don't mind. He's a great player. He's
a good player.
I have to ask. Okay,
don't worry, Kev. We'll make sure you're first to know.
Thank you. So far, yeah. So far in pre-season, what's impressed you the most, and where do you think you need to improve on the next 2 games?
Do you know what's impressed me? When you think about where we were at the end of last season in terms of the squad, and you look at the squad now, it's totally different. But the way that these people that we've brought in have just like come in, and just the bond that they all seem to have, straight away, it's a happy changing room, and everybody's like I said, they're all fighting for a shirt, but they're all eager for each other to do well. Andy's mentioned it before, winners in the mind and on the field, and that for me is the pleasing thing, because obviously you've got to have that mentality about the squad if you want to go forward to win games. And I think for the way they are at the moment, if they can continue that development, I think we stand a good chance of being in and around what's going to be happening at the end of the season.
Yeah, I can't echo that enough. What you said about the team spirit and togetherness. I suppose that's part of good recruiting, and also we've got to say thanks to some of the players in there who identified some of the players with us, some of the senior lads. They was part of that process, so getting good characters is important. But for me on it as well, it's having players which have come into the squad and then are willing to buy into what you're doing, and having some players as well who've already won the league last year but still having that appetite to buy into what you're doing. Might be different things, they're buying into it and then taking it out onto the field of play in terms of games from training. For me, that shows like a good professionalism from players, and a lot of respect, and I appreciate that definitely as a manager / coach, that the players are buying into what we're doing and they're trusting. So for me, and that's got to continue, but the players are doing that and getting the rewards.
We've had a few penalties pre-season, missed a couple which was talked about, and you did state that Rhys Honus would then be on penalty duty. Lo and behold, first game has been back available. He slots in a great penalty, so you must be pleased about that.
Yeah, I am, because obviously, all through pre-season now I've been dying for Rhys to score a goal. Yeah. Because obviously that's what strikers thrive on, scoring goals. So I want him to start scoring goals during pre-season, which will then enable him to continue it into the season. So great opportunity for him to step up and take the penalty today, and as you can see, stroke the ball into the back of the net with no problem. So he's already made sure that the penalties are his.
If I can just finish off with a question relating to injuries. I know we've had a few niggles through pre-season. You've already covered Greg's, that's keeping him out, and Aaron's. Are there any fresh injury concerns from today's game that you know of?
One of the trialists today has picked up an injury to his knee. That's going to be looked at and assessed, but apart from that, we are clear. We're clear and good to go.
Great
Which
stuff.
is brilliant.
Thank you very much for your time, guys. We'll catch up with you again on Wednesday evening after the Corby game.
Cheers. Thank you.